Hey there, fellow roamers and makers. It's your host, Dannelle, the traveling cheesehead. Today, we're talking about something that quietly shapes your life in Wisconsin, even if you've never stepped foot inside a paper mill or picked up a soldering iron. So today's episode is called Wisconsin Innovators, from paper mills to pioneers of play. And we're going to walk a simple path together. Trees, paper, packaging, toys, board games, phone apps, and all the clever humans between who turned a state full of forests and rivers into a place that literally changed how we work and how we play. If you've ever blown your nose into a Kleenex, opened a board game box on a winter night, or watched your kids build a robot in a school makerspace, there's a very good chance Wisconsin was hiding in that story somewhere. So grab a mug of something warm, coffee, tea, hot cocoa, no judgment here, because we're headed from the Fox River to your kitchen table and maybe even into a digital game or two. So from pine trees to Kleenex and cardboard, oh my gosh. When people picture Wisconsin, they picture cows, supper clubs, and Lambeau Field. I mean, totally fair. But behind those cows is another quiet superstar, paper. Let's rewind to the 1800s here for a second. You've got huge northern forests. You've got fast-working rivers like the Fox, and you've got communities full of people who know how to work with their hands and fix things when they break. Put that all together and you get mills. Lots of them. Along the river, especially around Neenah and Appleton, mills popped up like moral mushrooms after a good rain. Water-powered massive machines. Logs floated downstream. Entire neighborhoods grew up around mill whistles that told people when to work, eat, and even head home. If you've ever driven through the Fox cities and wondered why there are so many brick industrial buildings hugging the river, well, that's why. Now, Kimberly-Clark went from rags to global brands, because one of the biggest names to come out of that world is Kimberly-Clark. Back in 1872, a group of guys in Neenah started this little paper company. They weren't dreaming of global consumer brands. They were just trying to turn wood pulp and old rags into something useful. Fast forward, and that little paper company gave us Kleenex, Huggies, Kotex, and Cottonelle. So the next time you're standing in the tissue aisle trying to decide which box of Kleenex looks least offensive to the decor in your living room, you're looking at Neenah's legacy. Now, what I love about this story is how simple the innovation started. How do we make this sheet of paper better? Softer, stronger, more absorbent. And once you figure that out, suddenly you're shipping food, printing game boards, packaging toys, creating medical supplies, and yes, sparing all of us from the full-time handkerchief era. You're welcome. So, rivers, mills, and that mindset of making, you see, the story isn't just about products. It is about people. If you grew up in a mill town, chances are someone in your family worked second shift, came home dusted in pulp, and owned a toolbox that could fix just about anything. Paper mills train a certain kind of brain. You hear when a machine just sounds wrong. You notice when a color shifts. You figure out how to keep things running when a part breaks and payday is still a week away. That's problem solving and steel-toed boots. And those habits don't just disappear when the mills do. They show up later in toy companies, outdoor gear workshops, classrooms, and now makerspaces full of kids arguing, lovingly, over why the robot just won't turn left. Same mindset, different tools. Now, how do we go from paper to play? Easy. Look around your living room on game night. Board games, puzzles, card decks, instruction booklets that nobody really reads, but they all pretend they did. They all start flat. And Wisconsin has been very, very good at turning flat things into fun things. So, game night and the ghost of Milton Bradley here. You know the name, Milton Bradley. Candyland, The Game of Life, even Battleship. While the company itself wasn't based in Wisconsin, those games needed something Wisconsin excelled at. Sturdy cardboard, reliable printing, packaging that could survive kids, trucks, trains, even gravity. That expertise lived right here in Wisconsin. So when you open a game box and it feels solid in your hands, picture a Wisconsin engineer quietly saying, let's make that board just thick enough to survive somebody spilling orange soda on it. Again, you're welcome. Now, let's power up play with Hearthstone and hydroelectric curiosity. One of my favorite places to connect all of this just lives in Appleton. It's called Hearthstone, a gorgeous old home that in 1882 became the first residence in the United States powered by a centrally located hydroelectric station. Imagine that for a second. You're living above the same river that powers your mills, and you're wiring your house into one of the very first electric systems in the country. That's not just paper anymore. That's possibility. Hearthstone today lets you walk through that story. Edison-era light fixtures, beautiful woodwork, and the moment when hydropower turned into light. If you love history that makes you say, wait, how did they even do that? You need to put Hearthstone on your list. Now, modern makers take us from sled hills even to STEM labs. So we're going to jump to today. Walk into a library or community center in Wisconsin and you might find a makerspace. 3D printers are humming, cardboard is everywhere, and robots wobbling with confidence that they haven't earned yet. These are mini factory floors. Only now the raw materials are curiosity and hot glue. And winter is still our greatest product tester. If a sled survives neighborhood kids on a terrifying hill, if boots survive February, if gear works here, it works anywhere. Even our digital creators carry that Wisconsin DNA. Indie game developers, educational apps, cozy digital worlds that somehow feel like pine trees and quiet lakes. It's a different medium, but still the same spirit. Now, where can travelers see this story? Because this is the Traveling Cheesehead podcast, so let's talk road trips. Neenah, Appleton, Central Wisconsin, historic homes, river walks, museums built from paper money and curiosity. You don't need a theme park. You just need to look a little closer. From roaring paper machines to quiet lines of code, Wisconsin has always been full of people who like to make things. We turned trees into tissue, cardboard into games, snowy hills into testing labs. And now we're turning curiosity into the next generation of play. So, if this episode sparked an idea, even a tiny one, I hope you chase it. And before you go, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, save, or share the Traveling Cheesehead podcast with someone who loves Wisconsin, history, or a good old-fashioned game night. It helps more people find the show, and it reminds the podcast powers that be that our little corner of the Midwest matters. This has been Wisconsin Innovators, from paper mills to pioneers of play, and I'm your host, Dannelle Gay, the Traveling Cheesehead. Thanks for listening, and as always, I'll see you on the next road trip. Stay curious.